Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on Evening Beat on this Wednesday night for a look at your top local headlines. First tonight, the Stewartville community has gathered tonight for a prayer vigil in the wake of the recent shooting that happened at the high school last week on Friday. So let's go ahead and take a look at that tonight. A prayer vigil to stand with Stewartville in the recent wake of the shooting there. Friday will mark 1 week since a student was shot in the high school's parking lot and a 19-year-old took his own life. The vigil was at C&M Screen Printing in front of the Tiger Pride mural. Community activist Yami Bear organized the event. Yami Bear says he feels it's time to gather, not to explain, resolve, or to search for answers, but to simply just be together. As of Monday, the student injured in the shooting was still in critical but stable condition. To Iowa now, where the bodies of two fallen Iowa National Guard soldiers killed in Syria returned to the U.S. today at Delaware's Dover Air Force Base. The dignified transfer ceremony happened earlier today. President Donald Trump and the First Lady were among those attending the military procedure. They met with the families of Sergeant Edgar Tovar and Sergeant William Howard. Iowa Senators Chuck Grassley and Joni Ernst were also present. The Associated Press reports the Syrian Interior Ministry was suspicious of the shooter before the attack on Saturday. Since that attack, President Trump has vowed to retaliate against ISIS. Taxes are on the rise in Rochester for 2026, with Rochester Public Schools approving next year's property tax levy increase. Last night, the board unanimously approved a 5.6% levy increase in 2026. According to the district, property taxes for an average $350,000 home will increase by approximately $75 per year. Board Chair Kathy Nathan says although the 2026 levy is increasing, the tax burden on Rochester residents is less due to an increased tax base. Since 2019, Rochester Public Schools tax levy has increased by more than 88%, with a $22.5 million jump in 2025 following the voter-approved operating referendum. For the 2025-26 school year, the district has projected a nearly $35 million overall budget deficit. And lastly tonight, a nonprofit group is shedding a new light on a cold case in our area after 10 years of questions. The DNA Doe Project says it has identified a man whose body was found along I-90 near Albert Lea in 2015. The nonprofit says the DNA profile helped investigators determine the man who was Luis Robidoux. He was a World War II veteran and the son of a couple from Mexico who also moved to El Paso. We covered his body was being found, discovered along I-90. You can find a bit of our coverage from that day, April 6, 2015, in our news app. Now, according to the DNA Doe Project, he was born in 1923. Investigators believe he died sometime between 2000 and 2012. His connection to Minnesota and how his remains ended up along I-90 still remains a mystery. Now let us look at your top local headlines for tonight. You can always join us for the latest news at 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock, and as well catch our full stories on our news app. Have a great